Hello and welcome back to the BRSCC Mazda MX5 Super Cup. Now with only 6 races left in the 2019 season, we're here at Silverstone, which is the home of British Motorsport. Conditions are pretty much perfect, the sun's shining, low track temperature, and the championship leader, Luke Herbert, is in pole position.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, what a fascinating last couple of rounds we have in the championship then. 6 races to go, 6 points in it, with Herbert on top ahead of Harding. Aidan Hills is realistically out of contention now in 3rd, whilst Patrick Fletcher, for the time being at least, seems to have got the better of Gary Townsend in their fight for 4th in the points. Here is your grid then for the first of 3 races on the short, sharp but always spectacular Silverstone National Circuit. Herbert's got the pole position with Harding alongside, never far apart those two. Then it's Aidan Hills with Jack Sycamore on good form again. Then Patrick Fletcher and Nick Rutter with Gary Townsend and Chris Richardson sharing the 4th row. David Henderson and George Grant round out the top 10 with Bradley Kent and Will Stevenson at the back of the grid. So 6 races to go then, 6 points between Herbert and Harding, and Jack Harding needs to try and start beating Luke Herbert with a bit more consistency now, and this is his first opportunity to do so here at Silverstone. The lights go out, away we go, we're away and racing, and a good start made by Herbert there from the outside of row number 1. Jack Harding on the inside line trying to snatch the lead away into Copse Corner, though. They will be wheel to wheel through the flat out right hander on this first lap of the race at least, and they almost lean on each other on the exit of the corner, but it will still be wheel to wheel on the run into Beckett's. Aidan Hills has held on to 3rd, Sycamore is still in 4th position as they head in towards the braking zone, still side by side between the top 2. What Jack Harding would really love, though, is for Herbert to lose a few places, which may just happen because Harding's gone through and Jack Sycamore is sideways and has spun off the road. I think he got into the side of Luke Herbert there. He was trying to take 3rd place away, and Jack Sycamore, unfortunately, is right at the back of the field now, and it'll take him a little while to catch up to everybody else. The leaders, though, head down the Wellington straight for the first time. Harding leading the way, Hills in 2nd and Herbert 3rd. This is exactly what Jack Harding wanted, really. If he can have a car or even more cars maybe between himself and Luke Herbert, then of course he's taking even more points out of Luke Herbert, but Luke, I'm sure, will be on his toes here to try and get back on terms with him. However, Aidan Hills looks to be working with Jack Harding here to try and pull away at front, so can these two maybe work together to escape Luke Herbert, or is Luke going to be able to go with them at the moment? The answer appears to be that yes, he will be able to go with them, and now they're side by side for the lead, which means that that little pack to work together lasted all of 2 corners, and Aidan Hills is now going around the outside to try and snatch the lead away. Harding trying to fend him off and trying to keep an eye on what Herbert's doing, and what Herbert's doing at the moment is going up the inside of Hills for 2nd position, and he might even have a run on Harding for the race lead here. The 3 of them under a pocket handkerchief as they go underneath the bridge halfway down the Wellington straight and appear into view now. 3 abreast for the race lead going into Brooklands. Hills on the inside, Herbert on the outside, Harding in the middle, the 3 H's together, and Jack Harding goes from 1st down to 3rd, with Aidan Hills finding his way through into the race lead. That is how quickly things can change with the slipstream around this place. These cars are about as aerodynamic as a garden shed, so that will certainly mean they punch a big hole in the air, allows the cars to run very close together, and produces this sort of 3x3 action very frequently here at Silverstone. Jack Harding now trying to go back into the lead of the race, which he does into Copse Corner, with Herbert slotting into 2nd again, and Aidan Hills from the back to the front. So about half a lap ago, Jack Harding was leading, then he went down to 3rd, then he got back into the lead, and the bloke that was leading fell back down to 3rd again, and that, I think, is going to be much the theme of the race here between these 3, and if they continue to do it, then they're going to hold each other up to the point that everyone else starts to join in the fun as well. Across the line go the leaders, though, and Aidan Hills having to now get his elbows out a little bit, trying to keep Harding behind him. Jack Harding there goes right round the outside at Copse Corner. That's a brave move to make, but at least there's lots of runoff area there, and in fairness, Hills leaves him room, knowing that the next corner's a right-hander, and Luke Herbert is always going to go with Aidan Hills rather than helping his big championship rival out. He's always going to go to the inside line as well, so Hills knew there that he was fairly secure to leave Harding some room on the exit of the corner, knowing that that probably wasn't going to cost him the lead at the next turn. In fact, it might cost Harding 2nd place because Herbert is now alongside. But I don't think he's got the toe. I think that Harding is driving down the left-hand side of the road. That's giving Hills is driving down the left-hand side of the road. That's giving Harding a slipstream, but then Hills goes back to the outside again, so it actually evens out. It's going to be a battle on the brakes between Harding and Herbert, and Harding is so late on the brakes, he almost gets into the side of the race leader, Aidan Hills' car, as off goes George Grant at Copse Corner. George Grant deposits himself in the gravel trap at the first turn, and will be out of the race, no doubt. That car is well and truly buried. Now, will that require a safety car? We've got I believe, a live snatching operation this weekend, so hopefully the answer to that question will be no. The leaders, meanwhile, side by side again, but of course Harding had to abort that overtake there because there will be yellow flags out at this corner because of George Grant's off. So Jack Harding, again, things just conspiring against him a little bit there. He was about to make his move for the lead, but had to pull out of it. He's still got time to do this though, but we are into the final few laps of the race now. Aidan Hills has driven magnificently here to lead the race, but although it is difficult to lead in this championship, and we often say that being out in front means you're a sitting duck, but when it's the two championship rivals behind you, you can almost play them off against each other, and that seems to be what Aidan Hills has done here. He knows that Harding and Herbert are more concerned with beating each other than they are with beating him, although Jack Harding wants to go through into the race lead anyway, and will muscle his way up the inside through Brooklands corner, but the next corner's a right-hander. Hills will retain the lead, and Herbert surely will try and stick his nose up the inside here and take second place away from Jack Harding. It is crucial that Harding finishes ahead of Luke Herbert in this race, and that might not happen. No, Herbert can't get to the inside into Copse corner. But we're on to the final lap of the race now, so this is it. This is when the race will be decided. Who wins the race? Who leaves this race with the championship lead? Well, that's almost certain to be Luke Herbert. The question will be, by what margin? If things finish as they are now, he will retain the 6-point advantage that he had coming into the race, because he's going to score exactly the same amount of points as Jack Harding in front of him. If Harding gets the lead, though, and wins the race, then that could change. Similarly, if Herbert gets past him, that would play beautifully into the double reigning champion's hands. 2 more corners to go. Aidan Hills defending the inside line, looking for his 6th victory of the year, which would equal Jack Harding's record of victories for this season. And Aidan Hills looks to have done more or less enough, actually. He will defend again through Luffield, but with the effect of the slipstream here at Silverstone, the drag race to the start-finish line opens up another opportunity maybe for Jack Harding to get alongside and challenge, which is exactly what he does, but Aidan Hills will just about hang on for the victory by 9/100ths of a second. It is Hills from Harding from Herbert, your order at the front, and so the championship margin stays the same. Jack Sycamore is 4th, David Henderson is 5th, with Nick Rutter 6th, Chris Richardson 7th, and Gary Townsend in 8th. Patrick Fletcher dropped down to 9th after his spin, with Will Stevenson 10th, whilst George Grant and Bradley Kent sadly both failed to finish.
Aidan, 3 out of 4 here at Silverstone. That wasn't an easy race at all.
No, it's never an easy race, is it? Every race I've won, I don't think I've won it by more than half a second. So, yeah, look in the mirror every lap and it's either Jack or Luke behind me. It was a good race. Obviously, early on, it's hard to lead around here, so I wasn't too fussed about getting to lead that early. I was trying to work with either of them who was around me just to try and pull a bit of a gap to the person in 3rd. But it's just so hard to get away, you know. The tow's ridiculous, so it got to the point where I was like, well, I'll try and lead the race. And I got into the lead and basically just held it. I thought they're going to have to try and work hard to get past. So yeah, did my best and I managed to take another win. So yeah, over the moon, mate.
Race 2 for the BRSCC Mazda Super Cup is about to get underway, and the grid is based on the 2nd fastest qualifying time, which puts Jack Harding on pole position. Now, with the results from the first race, it means absolutely nothing to the championship. They stay exactly where they were because Luke got the fastest lap. So let's go and have a quick chat with Luke. He's getting prepared, ready for the race. Luke, race 2, you're starting 2nd. What's your game plan here? You need to finish in front of Jack.
Yeah, or just finish behind him with fastest lap. I just can't have Aidan between us or me behind him without fastest lap. So it's quite a tactical race when you're trying to win, but you've also got to think about other things. So I'm P2 this time, so theoretically I'm in pole, so I'm on the inside. So see how it goes.
Do you want to be in front for the whole race?
Well, ideally, but it never works like that around here. So the only way you can do it is if you break away. If everyone battles and you can get out in front and break away, then you can make it work, unless they work together and try and catch you up. So I've got the pace to be out in front on my own. It's just if I can't break that toe.
Yeah. You've worked with Aidan before in the races, using the toe to your advantage. Have you had a word with him before this race?
I mean, he's not interested in working with anyone. You know, he can still win a championship. He's sort of out of it. So he just wants race wins. He doesn't care about the championship, and if me or Jack win it. So I mean, if I can try and work with him, I will. But as a result, I have to give him the win. But as long as I'm ahead of Jack, I don't care about wins. So yeah.
Good luck. Good luck for that first corner as well.
Cheers, thanks.
So with that, I'll hand it over to Andy McCune to take you through all the action.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, interesting stuff there from Luke Herbert. Always good to get into the mind of a racing driver as the race is about to get underway, which it will do in a minute or so. The car's just gridding up in this order. Harding and Herbert on row 1 with Hills in third. Jack Sycamore looking to last further than the second corner before going off the road this time from row number 2, with Patrick Fletcher likewise from the third row ahead of Nick Rutter, then Chris Richardson and Gary Townsend. Then it's David Henderson and George Grant, with Bradley Kent and Will Stevenson at the back of the grid. So the championship standings then, as Anthony said, stayed exactly the same after race number 1, with the same amount of points scored by both Luke Herbert and Jack Harding. So still 6 points in it, with now just 5 races to go. And this second race of the weekend at Silverstone bursts into life with a good start from pole position from Jack Harding this time. But Luke Herbert on that preferred inside line, I think will take the lead into Copse Corner, which indeed he does. Harding there in third position, and immediately, look, Herbert moves over to the right-hand side of the road to try and defend. He does like to get out in front and control the races if he can, but the Silverstone National Circuit does not really play into that sort of a strategy. Into the braking zone, Harding really applying the pressure. Hills to the outside, Sycamore is 4th place then, with Fletcher 5th, and that's the fight for 6th, which is a resumption of the Townsend and Rutter scrap from race number 1, but this time they are back behind our 2 spinners from race 1, Jack Sycamore and Patrick Fletcher, who no doubt will be looking to try and go with the leading 3 if they can. Down the Wellington Straight, they go, and Aidan Hill's looking to the outside line, but look at that, Sycamore is up the inside of Jack Harding now, so Sycamore into 4th position, and this is exactly what Harding will have been worried about, I'm sure, and Luke Herbert will be concerned about, because people like Jack Sycamore and Patrick Fletcher in particular do have the pace to go with the big 3, the 3 H's, Harding, Hills and Herbert, and they are very much doing that in the early stages of this race, so that means there is the potential for maybe more cars to finish between our big 2 in the championship, Herbert and Harding. At the moment, it is Jack Sycamore that is between them, so too Aidan Hills, but Hills is now, as we heard Luke Herbert saying, he's not interested in the championship battle. Trying to get past Patrick Fletcher here if he can. In fact, he's already up the inside as they go down to Beckett's corner. So this will be for 3rd place for Aidan Hills. There is a bit of daylight, and I mean only a bit of daylight though, between Harding and Hills now. So this is Jack Harding's best opportunity maybe to have a go at getting past Luke Herbert without having to run the risk of allowing Aidan Hills past him. Harding will get a nice tow here down the Wellington Straight. You know that Luke Herbert's always going to defend the inside line, but if Harding goes round the outside, that can work. It gives him the inside line for Luffield. It is a risky move, but at this stage in the race and at this stage in the season, it might be one worth taking, but Luke Herbert sees it coming a mile off, moves over to cover that as well, and retains the race lead. So still, the order is Herbert, Harding, and now Hills back into 3rd. So that didn't take him long at all to get back into the podium places. And now he will almost certainly set about attacking Jack Harding for 2nd place here. Now, when that happens, and I think it is a case of when, not if, Aidan Hill starts to apply the pressure to Jack Harding, how difficult will Jack make it for him? Jack can't afford to finish in 3rd place in this race, not really, even though he's still got that fastest lap to fall back on. If he finishes 3rd, then he will still lose a couple of points to Luke Herbert. So if Hills tries to get past him, I don't think Jack has any choice but to defend and to try and keep Hills at bay. But in doing so, that could further extend this little margin that Luke Herbert's starting to build out again at the front of the field. So it's a tricky position this for Jack Harding. He doesn't want to delay himself too much with battling with Aidan Hills, but similarly he doesn't want to let Aidan Hills through. I think they're side by side here into Brooklands corner though, but Harding again on the inside line will hang on to the position, but that inside line will be slower through the corner. On occasion it didn't delay him too much, but if he has to start defending into places like Copse, for example, and into Beckett's, that will really, really hurt his run onto the next straight, and that will maybe be enough to allow Herbert to pull away. So we're on to the final lap now. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen sometime in the next 1.6 miles, and it will have a bearing, no doubt, on who wins the championship at the end of the season, and indeed what the championship margin will be after this race. If things finish as they are now, it will be 4 points in the favour of Luke Herbert. If Harding gets through, it will be even less than that, though. Into the braking zone they go. If he goes through, there'll only be 2 points between them, actually, going into the final race of the weekend. Onto the Wellington Straight again. Tell a lie, if it stays as it is now, it will still be 6 points, won't it? Yes, I beg your pardon, because of course Herbert and Harding would again, for the second race in a row, score the same amount of points, but that might not be the case because Aidan Hills is joining in now as well. Tries to get up the inside of Harding there into Brooklands. Herbert stops the car on the apex. Patrick Fletcher now wants to get his first ever podium. He's alongside Aidan Hills, but he can't complete it into Luffield corner. That though is taking the pressure off of Jack Harding. Can he mount a run to the flag? I don't think he can. Luke Herbert is going to take another race victory. That's his 6th of the season. And what a victory it was under the most intense of pressure. He wins it by nearly 4/10 in the end to retain this 6-point championship cushion that he has over Jack Harding, second in the race and still frustratedly second in the points. Hills is third from Fletcher and Sycamore, then Gary Townsend, David Henderson, Chris Richardson, Nick Rutter and Will Stevenson to round out the top 10. And we got all 12 starters to the finish this time, with George Grant getting the better of Bradley Kent in their private battle for 11th place.
Luke led from the start. You got the win after all of that. It wasn't easy keeping him behind, though.
No, I mean, I had the advantage that it was sort of a two-way horse most of the race. It was between me and Jack. It's a lot easier to defend against one car than two cars working together, purely for the fact that Aidan had a couple of, of brave moves that could have paid off, but unfortunately for him, it didn't. So he was battling with the other cars, and it just makes it that tiny bit easier. Jack's tyres had gone off, and he wasn't getting released into the start line straight, so it's just that 2 car lengths I needed just to break the tyre a little bit down here and give me a rest into turn 1. So yeah, it's not easy defending, but I'd rather it's like that than the situation of the first race where there's 3-4 of us going for the win, because that's when it becomes stressful and hard work.
The third and final race of the BRSCC Mazda Super Cup is about to get underway here at Silverstone, and it is time for the reverse grid. The top 6 have been reversed, which puts Luke Herbert down in 6th place, but on pole position we've got Gary Townsend. Gary, you're on pole position. You've got an incredible field of drivers behind you. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous. just do my best though and stay out there as long as I can, really.
Yeah, it's difficult leading around Silverstone because of the tow that everybody else gets. So you're kind of a sitting duck most of the time.
I am, and my engine's a little bit down on power as well, so I'm really struggling. I need the tow to sort of stay with guys, let alone pull them along. So.
Yeah, so you want them to go past you so you can keep up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, good luck. Hopefully, we'll see you at the end.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Now, more importantly, the championship is still deadlocked. Is this going to end this race? Let's find out. Andy, over to you.
Well, if ever we were going to see this deadlock broken, a reversed grid race might be what it takes, just to shuffle the order a bit, mess with some people's rhythms, maybe open up the opportunity for either Luke Herbert or Jack Harding to actually outscore the other. At the moment, they've been unable to do that in either of the first 2 races. Here's how they line up then. Townsend and Sycamore share the front row, with Patrick Fletcher and Aidan Hills on row number 2. Jack Harding and Luke Herbert row 3. David Henderson and Chris Richardson on the 4th row of the grid. And then rounding out the top 10, Nick Rutter and Will Stevenson, ahead of George Grant and Bradley Kent, set to resume their battle at the back. Well, these reverse grid races we've seen time and again this year, the key is to get to the front as quickly as possible, and quicker than your big rivals. So let's wait and see then, because everyone's pretty quick this weekend, and certainly Jack Sycamore and Patrick Fletcher will be eyeing up the opportunity maybe to take their first ever race victories. The lights go on. They are about to go out, and for the final time this weekend at Silverstone, we are racing in the MX5 Super Cup. Good start made by both of the front row men. In fact, pretty much the entire grid away pretty equally there. And they run down into Copse Corner 2 by 2 with Sycamore on the inside line, Townsend on the outside. Sycamore gets the lead, Aidan Hills up the inside of Patrick Fletcher for 3rd, and Luke Herbert up the inside of Jack Harding as well for 5th. So once again, the drivers lining up on the inside line, despite those being the even-numbered grid positions, are actually able to gain ground on the drivers that were, in theory, a position ahead of them on the grid. Sycamore gets the lead away then. Patrick Fletcher has the outside line into Beckett's, and so he's already lost out to Luke Herbert, and Jack Harding will go through as well. Bradley Kent bounces across the grass further back. They all, though, head out onto the Wellington Straight for the first time in more or less one piece. Who gets to the front first then? Well, Jack Sycamore has got there at the moment, but Aidan Hills is going to try and come through into 2nd place here around the outside of Gary Townsend. Gary is in a feisty mood, or is he going to let Aidan go? Well, he had very little say in the matter at the end. Aidan sailed around the outside, and he's making good progress. He's got a car between himself and Luke Herbert and Jack Harding. If he can get past Jack Sycamore quickly, that could be a big step in the direction of taking a race victory. In fact, he's working with Sycamore down the pit straight at the moment to try and break away from the cars behind. Gary Townsend's had a bad exit from the final corner, look, and so Herbert's through into 3rd, Harding into 4th. So that 1-car buffer that Aidan Hills did have a corner or so ago has already disappeared. And in the championship battle, it's advantage Herbert in the early stages. He's ahead of Jack Harding then. Harding needs to try and redress that situation as quickly as possible. He does not want to go to Donington Park any more than 6 points behind Luke Herbert. And as things stand, it would be 8 points, but we haven't yet seen who's going to get the fastest lap. There's a lot more overtaking to be done in this race as well. A lot more to be settled here. Aiden Hills makes a move up the inside of Jack Sycamore then, going for the race lead, and Luke Herbert tried to follow him through. Wasn't quite close enough though to the 91 machine to go up the inside line, so there is now once again a car between Hills and the other two of the big three, Herbert and Harding. This sensational race, this final race of the weekend for the MX5 Super Cup, has provided so much drama, so much intrigue, and Jack Harding could yet salvage something from this. He's up the inside of Sycamore again into Cobb's Corner. Herbert turns through the race leader. That much is not in doubt. Who comes out of Cobb's Corner in second place, though? Is it going to be Jack Harding? It looked as though he was going through. Can't quite see them. They're still side by side, I think, but the inside line belongs to Jack Harding, and Aiden Hills will try and follow him through as well here if he can. Harding again a bit wayward under braking there. He is on the absolute limit here because he knows that that gap that he's got to Luke Herbert, that could be a critical one. Not only could it cost him the race victory, but realistically you'd have to say it could be about to cost him the championship, because if he goes to Donington Park any more than that sort of 6 points behind that he was coming into this race, that's going to be very, very hard to overhaul against Luke Herbert on the day. I mean, look at the way it's been today. In the first two races, try as he might, he couldn't take even a single point out of Luke Herbert. If he goes to Donington Park and has to take 8 or maybe 10 points out of Luke, that's going to be very tricky to do. And right now, as it stands, that's what he would have to do. Herbert on for 102 points, Harding on for 98. There would be 10 points apart going into the final 3 races at Donington Park. And there's only one more lap of this race left. Luke Herbert looks good for the race victory. It's going to be a relatively comfortable one by the looks of it. The big question is, who will finish in second place? Can Jack Harding hang on? Can Jack Sycamore hang on for his second podium of the year as well? Well, Aiden Hills has other ideas because he is trying to challenge Sycamore here into Beckett's corner. Jack runs a bit wide on the exit as well. Now that means that Hills will probably get alongside him, and that takes a little bit of the heat away from Jack Harding. Jack Harding will probably still defend the inside line. No, he's going to try and drive down the outside of the road. He really doesn't feel like he's under any pressure from the cars behind them. Herbert turns into Brooklands for the final time of asking. At the moment, Luke Herbert, Aiden Hills and Jack Harding are also deadlocked on race victories. 6 wins apiece for all of them. This will break the deadlock now in the favour of Luke Herbert, who came here this weekend with 5 victories and leaves here with 7 and a 10-point championship lead going to Donington Park after a sensational race here in the final race of the weekend at Silverstone. Harding salvages second, but it's not really going to be enough. Third place for Aiden Hills, and Patrick Fletcher got past Jack Sycamore at the final corner as well, so Hill gets on the podium, Fletcher 4th, and a disappointed Jack Sycamore drops down to 5th position by the flag. Then it was David Henderson, Nick Rutter, Chris Richardson, Gary Townsend and George Grant, whilst Will Stevenson and the luckless Bradley Kent once again failed to finish. What a race that was though. I can't wait for Donington Park. Let's have a look then at the championship standings. Luke Herbert 10 clear of Harding. Hills is out of it now. Fletcher looks good for 4th, and Gary Townsend in 5th should be able to hang on to that to the flag. It is all about the 2-horse race for the title, Herbert versus Harding.
Well, Jack, in terms of the performance and in terms of the results, it's not been too bad a weekend, but in terms of the championship, Luke's got a bit of an edge on you now.
Yeah, there's good luck, bad luck and my luck, unfortunately. Yeah, always seems to be the same. Luke comes out, smelling roses, and I'm always the one managing to get knocked back. But, we salvaged best we could and got back up to second. It is disappointing, because obviously the aim this weekend was, even if I could just maintain the 6 points, or obviously game would be even better, and then I could take the fight down at Donington.